Okay, now it is time for the Week 5 assignment, and as you may have guessed, this has to do with the facial action coding system and expressions. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to start to get really familiar with the facial action coding system and how to look at images and categorize them and just kind of dissect the emotional content and group it into the action units, right? Because that's all a face that's expressing is doing. It's just displaying different intensities of these action units that we've looked at. So I want you to go through and I want you to find, probably going to end up being a handful of images, but a good example of each of the action units we discussed, right? So that'll be 1 inner up, 2 outer up, brow down, so corrugator. 5 lid raiser, that's the eye lid up, kind of levator palpebris superioris. Squint for 6 and 7, nose wrinklers, so our sneer muscles for 9 and 10. Nasolabial furrow deepener. Do your best. If you can find something that has it, you get extra points. But otherwise, just don't worry about that one. Lip corner puller. Yes, definitely. That's your big smile. Cheek puller, that's the really silly one. That's the caninus muscle. So I'm going to say no. That one's another hard one to really differentiate between 12 and 13. So ignore 13 for now. It's rare. Dimpler, absolutely. That's the buccinator. Lip corner and lower lip depressor, yes. Chin raiser, yes. Those are the big ones that we've talked about. Beyond that, there's components for a lot of the orbital mouth units that we haven't looked at yet, which we'll cover next week. Beyond that, you can probably categorize 25, 26, and 27, which is just the degree to which the mouth is open, right? Lips parting is 20, actually 25. Jaw opened, right? So like the images we did last week, that's called the jaw drop. And then if you have extreme jaw open, it's 27. So you could use those. And in the end, you'll see an image of a guy doing an expression, or a girl doing an expression, or a child, right? And you'll be just adding up the action units, right? And you'll be coming to maybe something like fear, combination of a lot of action units, right? So we see action unit 1, so you'll label this, maybe arrow it, like, you don't have to arrow it, but just somewhere on the image you say 1 plus, what else do we have? 1 plus 4, so we have frontalis in the middle, corrugator giving us some of the brow down, 1 plus 4 plus 5. 5 is the upper lip lifter. Then just looking at the mouth shape, we're pulling all sorts of different kind of, we're pulling one of the upper lip raisers, and it's 10, so plus 10. And then we're also doing the lower lip depressor, plus 16. So that would be the categorization for something like this, and then we probably throw on at the end a maybe a 26 for the amount that the mouth is open, right? Assuming that the jaw is dropped a little bit, it becomes a 26 and not a 25. Okay, so that's it. My writing is super sloppy there, but you get the idea. And so find images. I mean, it can be a string of images like this, but I would like you to kind of get a couple good examples, one at least, of each of these. And the idea is not necessarily so much to collect images for me, but it's for you to get practice looking critically at these things, right? Because that's the only way that you get experience with it. And the fact the process of putting numbers to it will really make you kind of go through the process meticulously. And eventually you'll build up a little library and kind of a little mental library, and you'll start to memorize these. But until then, just reference, make some notes, make you a little schematic like I had showed at the beginning of the lectures to help you. Okay, so that's the first part of the assignment. Easy enough. The second part is I want you guys to go in and do draw, essentially build out these skulls. It can be either a front or three-quarters view, whatever you're more comfortable with. And essentially I want you to build out a face based on the kind of the first principles that we've started to look at. But this face is with expression, right? Last week we kind of did it neutral. And so I'm not going to give you guys a specific set of expressions to do. I want you guys to just explore them yourself, and you can do as many as you have time for. But the idea is to essentially kind of build up on the stuff that we've been looking at so far. And I'm going to just kind of be a little bit sloppy with this because so what I'm looking at right now is I am looking at, I'm trying to put together a little lip depressor action unit, right? So I'm trying to get this to read like these are, lips are parted and pulled down. And it's going to be a little bit hard in PowerPoint, but that's where I am. So I'm just going to continue with this. And so that's kind of lip down, and we can build the rest out, and then maybe you could do, if you look at the attachment points for your canthal tendons, we can maybe squint this bottom one up a little bit. So this is just the opening, and if it's squinted, then we're building out some of the wrinkles that we talked about. And I'm probably only going to do one side just because I'm lazy. Don't use my work ethic as an example for your assignments. Let's see if I can put something together there. So let me just continue with this for a little bit. A little bit of shadowing in the mouth goes a long ways. I would like to kind of start this again and do a little bit more with the upper lip, right? Because I'd like to get some of this, some of the labial lifter in here. So just because it's interesting. And this is looking to be, it's almost looking like fear, except for fear contains a little bit of the action unit number 5, which is the levator palpebrae superioris, right? So that if I do this and show white of the eyes instead of squinting on the top, and then if I take that, let me just kind of, I'm going to throw a little shading under this big kind of disaster of a nose, try to make it better. So little fear. What else does fear entail? Fear is going to be a little lift of the brow as well. So we would just kind of scratch some of this in. And you guys, I hope, are using your X-ray vision to see through this and see it as something good and not bad, because it's just meant by way of example. Okay, so if I just scratch a little more in here, right, just looking at some of the planes of the masseter. And if I was able to just kind of work on a layer, it would be the right time to turn the bottom layer off and see where my face was headed. So kind of the exploration space for this is kind of within the spectrum of kind of the emotions that you're capturing in your search images. Grab one of these and start to work through, use a little bit of reference, right? For lip shape, things like smile, right? You guys can work through that. And the idea is that if you start to block in some of these things, they don't have to be even totally finished. But as long as you're just kind of looking at the structure underneath, it will kind of, hopefully through kind of circular reinforcement, give you an idea, an intuition for how this stuff hooks together, right? So in this particular example, this smile is being driven by zygomatic major. Not a surprise. And that's creating this opening, right? And then you can also do some cheek lifter. So action unit number 6, and get some of the crow's feet out here and just kind of build up a real smile, right? Lay on some malar fat pad out here. And then do what you will with the eyes, right? So find your canthal tendon insertions, right? So right in here and roughly about here. And then you guys can lay in the eyes, line of the eyelids, make them rounded where they go over the eyeball. Decide what the eyeball is doing, what the opening is doing. Mirthful, kind of brow raise, maybe brow raise just action unit 1 in the center. And that is close to the idea, right? Finish it as well as you're able to, as well as you want to. But the idea is just to block some of this in and really get an idea how to pin the action units onto the skull. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Probably a little bit rambling, but my intention is that you guys get experience with emotions, and this is going to be the channel to test this week. Okay, so again, full enrollment students, ignore the 4 on the week 4 assignment. Change that to week 5, and yeah, submit what you have at the end of the week, and I'm happy to take a look at it for you. Okay, thanks, and I will see you again next week.